Now, what will happen to the sun in the future is that it will grow and become a red giant star, and its size will be more or less the current orbit of the Earth around it. Um, we have a very famous star, which is Orion's shoulder, Betelgeuse, which also in the telescope's picture seem to be an extended star. This is a red supergiant. As you can see, the size of this star is compared to the Earth's orbit. So the size of Betelgeuse is actually larger than the orbit of Jupiter around the Sun. So it's a huge star, as you can imagine. Well, um, the cold fusion is exactly what happens in the red giant stars when helium fusion is triggered. Um, as I mentioned before, the outer layers would expand and shrink with this continuous kind of breath. Uh, at the given moment, hydrostatic dampens the oscillation. What is interesting for us, and will be interesting in a future lecture, is that the expansion period and the luminosity of a star are intrinsically related. So they are a useful tool to obtain the luminosity of a star, and then they will be a useful tool to obtain the distance to a particular class of stars. Then what happens at the end of their life? We can have either a gentle death, meaning that the star simply disappears in an emission of dust and out the other shells of hydrogen, and partly helium and other heavier elements. And at the center of this emission, the remnant would be most probably a white dwarf. But big stars, supergiant stars, cannot end their life in this gentle death. They need to die as superstars, and superstars die into an explosion. What happens to these supergiant stars? They increasingly start to burn further elements. Once they have burned the hydrogen into helium, they start to burn helium into carbon and oxygen. And once they have carbon, they start burning it into oxygen, sodium, and heavier elements, and so on and so on, until they reach the final stage, which is the iron stage. At the iron stage, no more energy can be extracted by fusion, by thermonuclear reactions. And so at this moment, there is a sudden collapse of the star, and then a further explosion, which makes what we call a supernova.